Welcome into the Business on Purpose podcast. Scott Beebe, your host. Time to be liberated from the chaos of working in your business. And 'tis the season for family vision, mission, values, those things at the beginning of the year that we naturally have an inclination to be thinking about, processing towards. And I wanted to give you insight. Ashley and I just did an overnight in a city locally to where we live. And we essentially leave the house about noon on one day, and we go to this town, and we hang out, and we talk, and we visit, and we talk some more, and we walk around, and we talk some more, and we visit, and we do a lot of thinking and dreaming and planning and praying over exactly what we feel like God has kind of laid out in front of us for this coming year. Now, all of it is in line with our family vision. So our vision is what we laid out a couple of years ago, createafamilyvision.com. If you've never done that before, it is a necessary exercise, createafamilyvision.com. All that's spelled together, createafamilyvision.com. So you can draw that out there. We've created the templates, the tutorials, everything. It walks you and your family through it. Crayons, paper, you can get all the creative stuff out of the closet and start to create a family vision. Once you've got that vision down, now you're well placed, you're well set to be able to have discussion about goals, dreams, ambitions, what 2018 is going to look like, or whatever year you're actually listening to this. And you start to lay that out. So what I thought I would do is lay out exactly kind of the process that Ashley and I walked through. We had a loose process in our head, and then it just, spread out over the hours that we spent together during our time away. First thing we did is we just prayed. For us, we're faith-centered people, and we believe that God can speak to us in ways that we cannot see. And so directing us, I know that might sound bizarre and odd to some of you. That's okay. But for us, that's where we started. And I wanted to let you know that. Also, what we had in terms of resources was simply a notebook. We've got these little Business on Purpose notebooks that we have and that we give away, some swag, if you will, right? And so we just took one of those little Business on Purpose notebooks and use whatever you want. Use a notebook, a legal pad, whatever it might be. Then we kind of created, if you've seen before, a mind map. It's not complicated, all right? We literally laid it out, wrote the word vision, and then around the vision, particularly what the goals for this year were. So we tried to center, and I don't have the notebook in front of me, but we tried to center on a couple of things that I'll recall for you. Obviously, things having to do with real life situations that are coming in front of us. So for instance, our daughter is a junior in high school. And so one of our big goals for this year is what we wrote down, set for launch. We want to get her set for launch. So there's some things that we're going to be doing. We wrote down specifics that we're going to be doing, like for instance, visiting university campuses. That was one of the things that we wrote down. So we wrote down some specific campuses that we've heard her talk about before, as some things that we want to get prepped to do. Also, she's taken the SAT before. She wanted to get an even better grade. She crushed me on what I got on the SAT from years and years ago. But she wanted a little bit better score on that. And so we laid out, all right, here's some SAT times. This is probably a good time for you to take it. And if so, then we want to retroact that back so that you can do some SAT prep through Khan Academy starting this date. And so just laying those things out for them. So that was one of the things that we wrote on. Travel obviously is a big thing for us. Our family mission is to be a gospel-motivated light through adventure, creativity, and time around the table. And the adventure part works itself out for us as travel. We would rather spend money on travel than we would on really nice cars and things like that. No problem if you spend it on really nice cars, whatever you want to do, no problem. Clothes, things like that. But for us, it's travel. That's where we like to invest any marginal money that we have outside of giving, living, and saving. And so we wrote some of those things out. We wrote out things as relates to family budget. So because travel's in there, because setting to launch is in there, because some of the other things that we wrote down are in there, we needed to create budgetary items as well. So what we did is Ashley and I went back through the family monthly budget. laid that out step by step, exactly what we feel like it's going to take for us to live, not just to live, but to live within the goal and the scope and the vision that we've got laid out. So it's more than what it would take just to live, but it's also something and a number that we don't feel like is outside of crazy, still keeping within bounds of what we feel like is respectable based on what God has provided for us at this time in our life, and based on the stage of life that we're at with our family and our kids. Again, I want to preface all this by saying we don't have this figured out. We're not the experts here. We're not the gurus on how to raise a family. What we're doing is simply documenting this for you, others, us, while we're in the middle of it. Because to me, that's where value can be extracted, is when you're in the middle of it. Now, hopefully, some point down the road, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, we can give you perspective looking back. But we're not at that stage right now. We're at the stage where we're in the middle of it. So we're just kind of letting you know what plays we're calling right in the middle of raising a family. So we walked through budget items. We laid all that out. We also walked through budget of what the business looked like. We're business owners. If you've listened to this podcast, you understand that this podcast is largely for small business owners. And this particular episode is for you small business owners who are trying to raise a family. And so we laid out budget for the business, projected revenue, what we feel like our salary needed to be off of that revenue, what we feel like our owner's draws need to be for the savings and packing away 529s for college, those sorts of things. And so we laid that budgetary item out for the business. We did it for the family. And then that's where we went back and began to apply the funding, the resources from our salary, from our draws, and applied that to the goals that we have for this year. So, assuming everything plays out, now there will always be curveballs, but assuming everything plays out, we kind of generally know this is how much we have for living, this is how much we have for saving, this is how much we have for travel, this is how much we have for all of the different elements that we have laid out within the goals. And we have gone so far to set up multiple bank accounts so that, let's say the travel budget for this year, whatever that number is, I'm just going to use a round number, $1,000. Let's say our travel budget was $1,000. It's more than that, but let's say it was $1,000. Well, we want to set up a bank account to where we can funnel off that money from our salary and to build up that $1,000 pool so that we'll have a debit card so that any travel we do, we'll literally use that debit card for the travel. And that's it. So that money is there, it's parked away, and it's also associated with an account. Now, go to your bank. Usually they shouldn't have a problem with multiple accounts. Some do, and they'll want to charge you fees, but just find a local bank that doesn't, because they'll get what you're trying to do, that you're trying to be fiscally responsible with the resources that you have. So we've applied budgets to goals within line to the vision. Again, just write this stuff out. Don't worry about, having the right template. We could put a template together for this, and we might for you, because we realize for some of you that may be easy. But start with a notebook. Start with intentional conversation. Guys, I recently heard of a friend who was trying to have intentional conversation with a spouse, and the spouse was just kind of laboring away on the phone and never really would stop and have the intentional conversation. I'm begging you, more than anything else, have the intentional conversation. Turn the stuff off. Get your notepad out. Sit down. Look face to face, eye to eye. If you've got to go out for an evening, if you've got to go away for a night, whatever you've got to do to get that time, buy that time. It's worth it. Buy the time. It's worth it. All right? Well, that's the insight on what Ashley and I did to try and help us be liberated from chaos of raising a family and bring real intentionality and purpose into that. I hope that helps you. Let us know if you've got any questions. You can reach out to us on the Facebook at Business on Purpose. On our Facebook, you can also shoot us an email, scott@mybusinessonpurpose.com. I'd love to hear from you. Anything that we can help you with, we'll see you next time right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.